Well, you know, summertime blooms are kind of hard to find sometimes with plants, and I'm here with Gail Austin, who used to be a grower and seller of daylilies. And boy, for really a lot of bang for your buck, daylilies are a summertime bloomer that just keep going.
Yes, they are. And just when everything else in the garden starts to look really ratty, it's been chewed by slugs and bugs, and now the heat is hitting, the daylilies will look really good. And
Well, it's true, and you know, Gail, almost every independent garden center has daylilies, and you have a lot of wisdom on them because you used to grow them.
Why, thank you.
You know, share some of that. If I go in right now and buy one, a lot of people say, you know, if it's blooming, take the blooms off, stuff like that, to plant them. A lot of those rules really don't apply to daylilies.
No, they don't. And I am a person who doesn't really believe in all of the rules all of the time anyway.
Booyah.
Sometimes what we do is we read too much.
Yeah.
And so we tend to think that we can't do things. If you don't read and you go ahead and try it and it works, and then you read about it later, then you realize that sometimes the rules don't necessarily apply to everything all of the time.
Well, and too, you know, they write books in maybe in New York, and that would certainly be different than in Oregon. So
Absolutely.
culture change from place to place too.
Absolutely. And I believe in planting anything that's in a container anytime during the year, except when the ground is frozen so hard you can't dig. But if you go out and buy a daylily in a container right now and it's blooming, all you really have to do is figure out where you want it, dig the hole and plant it. And you can also, you have more of an opportunity to design your garden if you plant something when it is in bloom. And I like to plant them when
you
they're in
actually see the color. Tags are always going to be misleading.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would always recommend looking at the daylily flower before you buy it.
Yeah, and that's just smart with any plant, whether it's hydrangeas or clematis or daylilies, then you know the color.
That's right.
Now, if I do bring these home and plant them, and let's say I forget a day of watering, it's really not going to kill a daylily. It might make it look a little weak, but...
It might look a little stressed. You might lose some of the leaves if it's a very hot day, like the hot weather we've just had has burned leaves on many plants, including daylilies. I just trim those off, and the daylily will produce new leaves. You do need to water them just after you plant them like anything else, but once they're established, they're really pretty drought tolerant.
Yeah, they are. Now, you mentioned heat, and it's interesting to me when we were talking earlier, Gail, you were talking about how the heat actually will affect the bloom quite a lot on a daylily.
Yes, it will. A daylily bloom starts open. It's only going to bloom for one day. That flower will last for one day. So it starts to open early in the morning, or some of them start the night before. If they've started the night before and they're fully open in the morning, the heat will not affect them like they will the daylily bloom that starts early in the morning, and it's just starting to open up, and then we get that hot, dry weather come in, and it just stops.
Yeah.
And instead of opening up fully and looking beautiful, it's just gonna kind of sit there and do nothing and look dried out, and it'll look bad for the rest of the day. But the neat thing about a daylily is that bloom only lasts for one day.
So you got a fresh start tomorrow.
Absolutely.
We like that because some days you need a fresh start.
Right.
So what other, do you use a special fertilizer? Do they need a lot of fertilization?
No, in fact, I really don't fertilize the garden at all.
Amazing.
I use mulch, and I let the natural things that happen in the soil provide the nutrients for my plants.
And what about division?
You can divide a daylily just about any time except in the freezing cold of winter, and even then you could probably divide them. I've actually dropped daylilies bare root on the ground when I was dividing in the fall, and it laid there all winter long, and I
still grew.
And the next spring I noticed it when the leaves were coming up out of it, and it's laying on top of the ground with its roots hanging out. So they're very difficult to kill, and I think this is a plant that if you're brand new to gardening,
what a way to go.
This would be the plant to start with, because it will give you that confidence that you really can grow things, and then you can go on from there.
Well, nothing makes us feel as good as success, and if you want success in your garden, you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over to gailaustin.com. There's lots of good information at her website, and although she doesn't sell them anymore, she'll certainly give away her information for free. Thank you so much, dear.
Thank you.